Parents, when was the last time you talked to your kids?
About anxiety.
About sexuality.
About substance abuse.
About my future. About depression.
When was the last time we talked about the big things?
Let's talk. Talk Show. Let's Talk is a program created by Mike Schoenhofer to give children and parents the correct tools needed to cultivate good, growing conversation between kids and adults about drugs, suicide, alcohol, and strengths and weaknesses. This program is hopeful to give parents the necessary resources so that they can start these conversations with their children, ages 1 to 24.
Before you start any conversation like this, you have to realize that they didn't grow up with the same kind of things that we did. Like, my parents are like 54. Honestly, I don't even know at this point. It's getting too high. I can't count that. They didn't have the social media. They didn't have Twitter. They didn't have Instagram. They didn't have Facebook. Of course, they're on Facebook now. But so it's kind of difficult for them to be able to relate to us.
Right. That's exactly why I like to go to my aunt before. I love to talk to her right before I have to go talk to my mom. She was my age when everything really started to come up, when there was like computers and everything, you know.
I definitely agree with you, Ashley. It's a lot easier to go to an adult that grew up with the same things that we are growing up with. So the big thing for parents to remember when having those conversations is to listen like a friend and respond like a parent.
And parents, they really need to be direct and blunt with the kids about suicide, drugs, and alcohol.
So we've talked about reasons why we should have these conversations and ways to start them, but where should we start them? I know personally, I like to cook supper with my parents because I do not like to make eye contact. Where do you guys like to do those kinds of things?
I like to have those conversations in the car, mostly because they can't get out of it. So I like to do that.
I love to talk to my mom when we're walking our dog. When we're out in nature, and nature just makes me feel calm, you know. I feel like I can breathe because trees, but you know, it makes me feel better when I'm out in the woods so I can talk.
I think the ideal place for me is a restaurant, preferably Texas Roadhouse. You know, the bread, and while you're waiting for the main course, yeah, the rolls, the butter,
Cinnamon butter.
Yeah.
You know, guys, I think this is a really good talking point, so I think this is a great time to bring out our special guest today. So today we have the Executive Director of the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board. Let's all welcome Mike Schoenhofer. Well, welcome, Mike. We're so excited to have
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here. Big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan. Yeah.
Right before we had you come on, we were talking about really good ways and places to start these conversations with our parents. So for you, what do you think is a good scenario or a good place to have these conversations?
Yeah, so first of all, I love to hear you say the word conversation, because I think that is what is the biggest problem right now. And the reason why I was kind of pushing the whole let's talk thing is that I think we've lost the art of conversation. You know, and it really is an art. You know, when you start a conversation, you open with kind of a line like, oh, I was feeling down today, and then you see, well, is my parent or my friend, whoever it is, curious, or they're not really interested? Like, oh, well, sorry to hear that. I hope you feel better. Or do they say, oh, really? Why is that? You know, why are you feeling that way? And then you know there's an opening. So to get to your question about where, the best thing is to kind of, I think, if you have something really important that you want to talk about, maybe you're feeling down, maybe you're anxious about something, maybe you're worried, you know, there's something in the future, you know, whatever it is, and then think, okay, now is this a short conversation, or is it a big conversation where you're going to kind of talk about boy, you've been having a lot of anxiety and you're not sleeping very well. So that's not a short conversation. That's when we need a little bit of space. So you walk in the woods, cooking, trapped in the car, those are all great places. And then you just kind of introduce the topic. I honestly think that most parents are a little bit, they don't know where to start. They see you guys with the earbuds in. Can you hear? Can you hear when you got the earbud in there?
Depends on what you're saying.
I knew that.
Because my parents are watching.
I knew that.
Mike, I was going to ask, how do we read the situation before actually starting the conversation? Like, do you have any advice towards reading body language and atmosphere when we're getting ready to have those conversations and knowing whether it's appropriate or not at that time?
So here's the thing, like if your dad is like into, the Ohio State game, right? Or that's not a good time to bring up the, like you're really worried about something. Because, here's the thing, they have to get used to the idea that you actually want to talk to them. I got one more question for you. And this is really a big one for me. I don't think that we know enough about our strengths. I think all of us, I'm really aware of all my weaknesses. I could tell you all of them, I list them, I got them all down, I know what they are. But if somebody said to you, what are you better at than anybody else? Or what are you really good at? Would you be able to answer that? Maybe you would. That would be, I'd be awesome if you could.
Yeah, I feel like, honestly, we live in a society of a lot of negativity around our age. So I know personally that sometimes coming home or after a performance when my mom really supports me and uplifts me, it's such a relief to me because of the negativity that we live in through social media and just through our school environment in general.
Yeah.
And it's such a positive feeling when your parents go to those for you. When your parents go to like a sports event for you, or when they go support you at something that maybe you're really confident in. It is an amazing feeling.
Yeah, they're going there for you.
Yeah. And when you see your parents like in the stands out of like a meet, at a track meet or something, and you just kind of get more motivation to do your best so you can make them proud. Because when you're running that last 100 meters and you see your mother standing, oh my goodness!
Suddenly your jelly legs are much different.
I gotta get moving.
I think it's also a good question to ask about us. Like, when do parents think it's a good time? Like, when do they see those warning signs?
Yeah, so, the biggest warning sign, I think, is when you notice one of your kids is starting to withdraw. They're not engaging with you. When you stop doing things that you love to do. So let's say you love theater and you love all of a sudden you just say, I'm not going to do that anymore. That's a huge warning sign. And then that's when you kind of reach out as a parent and start asking questions. To me, the biggest sign is when you stop doing something that you love to do. That is a huge sign that there's something going on.
Well, Mike, we thank you so much for being here with us today. I think I can speak for all of us when we say we've really learned a lot. And for anyone watching, there is a website if you would like more information. It is letstalk.care. On that website, you'll find information about how to get the conversation started and just more about the Let's Talk program. We thank you for watching today.